part two of shows that like totally cop the fuck out. Now, I was on Battlestar Galactica before I was interrupted. And there was a lot of things about Battlestar Galactica. Like I said, I'm not going to take anything from them. And I was enlisted, so I didn't get to see how Caprica ended. But I was also told that they copped out, which totally sucked. So I have to go find that and watch Caprica from beginning to end all over again. Because when it came out, I had just joined the army. So I kind of totally missed what happened from beginning to end. I seen the beginning. I think I seen maybe 3 episodes and couldn't wait for the next one. And then my bus came. So off to Richmond, off to Fort Benning. No more Caprica for me. So as I was saying, I I was so into freaking Battlestar Galactica, really into Battlestar Galactica, and I have been following Grace Park since whatever the high school drama she was on. I can't remember it because she was like my favorite one. They had the girl from Smallville and a couple other people that I have no idea who they are or where they are, but I remember Grace Park because she was the prettiest one there. All right. Anyway, all hail Grace Park and Hawaii Five-O, which also like that pissed me off on Battlestar Galactica because like she was like always getting attacked and always getting fucked up or something. It's like she's the token. I'm going to kill Sharon Villery. I was like, oh, you bastards. And I was like, and I like Grace Park, and it seems like everything she's in. I think it's because she's Asian that she's always like almost always victimized. Sorry, sorry, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm not gonna make this much longer because I want to go to bed. But with a lot of things in those shows, especially with Battlestar Galactica, I I never expected it to end the way that it ended, and just like Sliders, I never expected that to end the way that it ended, and it was like mad cop outs, and I was like, at least Farscape had an excuse. They ran out of money, but the people, the fans, we kicked ass to get Farscape back on. It got back on. Everything was good. It ended well. But as for everything else, no, no. BSG totally fucked me up. I didn't really like the way Deep Space Nine ended either, because you never really knows what the hell happens to Cisco. And since we're on that, because it did have a decent ending, it didn't cop out. Voyager. I'm one of the biggest Star Trek fans ever. I was happy to have a lady commander, captain, whatever, and I was like, hot damn, first ever. It's not exactly a Federation class cruiser. It's more like a warship, like the Defiant. It's a badass ship. They're on the other side of the galaxy, and they cop the fuck out. Cop the fuck out. It's like, no, man, no, Which is why when I did my webisode, I said, look, it has to have a beginning. It has to have an end. If we never do another episode, all 7 episodes, when you get to that 7th episode, it has to have an ending. It has to have an ending. I don't want a sad ending, but it has to have an ending. It can't cop out like my favorite shows. It can't do that. It has to have an ending. And it has to have an ending that not only satisfies me, but satisfies the people who are going to be watching it. And it does. It's the best thing I've ever done. And I hope you all get to see it before I die. So, the thing is like, I learned from watching shows that piss me off. Because there have been cartoons that cop out. I'm sure you guys aren't old enough to remember, what the hell was that damn thing? Technoman. I'm sure you guys aren't old enough to remember Technoman. But after like 11 or 12 episodes, it cops out. I can't remember how the Guyver cartoon ends, but I don't recall it, it cops out. But I know for sure that Technoman copped out. Escaflownes, they took it off, so I never got to see the end of that, and I can't find it anywhere. So we're not gonna say it copped out, but we're not gonna say that it had a good ending. I wasn't really into One Piece. Iganashi didn't really cop out. It had a decent ending, but I don't like the fact that Kagome can never go back between the two time periods again. You know. And then Road and Warriors had a good ending. and a couple of other ones had good endings. No, Robotech had a good ending. Star Blazers had a good ending. Uh, Exo Squad had a good ending, if you guys remember it. What actually kind of a toss up between a good ending and a cop out because it kind of leaves you hanging because it never got a third season, but it leaves you with that spiral thing, and they saved Alex De Leon. Other than that, um, Heroes on Hot Wheels, Prince Valiant. I can't really remember how they ended, but they didn't really please me, and I just don't like things that don't have some kind of ending. You know, I'm a ending freak. I don't care if it's a bad ending, but it has to have an ending that I won't have to be like, what the fuck just happened? I don't want a WTF ending. I want an actual ending that tells me, okay, well, this is what happens, and this is the aftermath. And after the aftermath, everybody goes back to living their normal life. So when I ended my webisode series, because it's only 7 episodes, originally I wanted to do 13, but I couldn't get everybody to commit to 13, so I mushed episodes together and came up with 7. All right. So we got that out of the way. So for Guardians of the Earth, it was initially supposed to be 13 episodes, but I was taking up all these guys' time. People wouldn't show up. It kept going from bad to worse to complete clusterfuck when my shit got stolen. But other than that, there's no cop out. There's an ending. There's a beginning and there's an ending. And like most things, the beginnings kind of start off a little dry. And if I had special effects in it, it would be great, but I don't. But for the most part, when things get back together, it's fairly decent. Excuse me. So in that, so that I can close this out and go to bed. When a show cops out, you know, either the writers couldn't agree on an ending, or they ran out of money, or they didn't think about us fans and how we would take it, or the long and short of it is they just didn't give a damn. I'm not gonna say that about BSG because they ended it. It wasn't the ending that I wanted. It wasn't the ending that I expected, but they did end it. It's kind of like the Batman trilogy with Christian Bale. They ended it. It wasn't the ending that I wanted. It wasn't the ending I expected, but they ended it. And a lot of movies where if you're gonna in TV shows, if you're gonna like give us a cliffhanger so that we go see the second part, that's fine and dandy. Just make sure that when the trilogy is over or when the series is over, don't give us the finger. That's all I'm saying. Don't give us the finger. As much as I love BSG, I feel like I got the finger, especially since I'm old enough to remember the old series. As the old series in the '70s, it kind of got funky with Starbuck getting lost, and then it came back and Starbuck was back, and you're like, what? What happened to the child Starbuck sent into space? It kind of jumped around a bit, so you don't really know what the fuck's going on. But you have to go back and check those out. And then when it came back, it had the dude from Falcon's Crest and none of the guys from the original, and they came back. They found Earth. They solved some problems, but they didn't get Earthlings to come back and fight the Cylons. They just left so that the Cylons would never come to Earth, and there wouldn't be an invasion and all that. And I'm pretty sure they're comic books, but I don't know if I can find them. I don't know if I have them, but I do remember having Cylon toys and the humans. Didn't have any of the females, but I had the four-legged thing. I don't know what the hell it was called, but it was like a four-legged thing. And I think he was like one of Madama's grandkids or something. But it was a really good show. But at 42, it's kind of hard to remember everything that happened back then. And the same thing with Buck Rogers. Um, I really didn't like the way that show ended, but it did have a decent ending. And I didn't like the way the new Flash Gordon ended. But the thing about new Flash Gordon is that they didn't really end it. They kind of had to have a forced ending because it didn't get a second season. And if it did get a second season, it didn't come on Sci-Fi, and I totally missed it. Hands up to the girl that played Dale Arden because she actually did look like Melanie Perkins, who was the original Dale Arden. They kind of did look a little bit alike. So, you know, but the long and short was, if you're gonna end it, if you're gonna end it on a cliffhanger and there's no pickup, like you're not getting picked up for another season, I think all the producers of the shows should make a loose ends or aftermath film to solve everything, so that everybody won't be like, okay, well, you guys just pretty much fucked us, because if you invest in stuff, like if you put your time into stuff, like biggest kick in the nuts, slap in the face at the same time, was the endings of Mass Effect 3. All right, I'm one of the biggest Mass Effect fans. I'm waiting for the newest one to drop. God only knows when that's gonna be. Hopefully, it'll drop by the time I've aired this. But the four endings of Mass Effect, the saga, was bullshit. Okay? I'm sorry. You put all this time into Shepard, and you get to make choices which made the game fucking awesome. And from the first game to the second game, every choice you make affects that game. Whatever you done in the first game affects how the second game starts off and ends. And whatever you make in the second game affects the third game. And if you don't have like the DLCs or whatever, or you don't get like the jump packages or whatever the hell they're called, you miss out on things from the second game that they don't talk about in the third game. So if you don't do um, rescuing the friend of Hackett, then it doesn't mention that. And if you don't do such and such in the first game, the third game doesn't mention that. But for the longest time, you couldn't do that when you were on PlayStation until the triple disc thing came out, which I have, by the way. And I play it often, way often. I have like maybe 42 fem sheps, man. I've never played it as a dude. I've only played it as a chick because I love the male actor, but the female actor just, her delivery is much better to me. So, you know, plus, if you're gonna have relationships with people in the game of Mass Effect, it's probably better to do it as a female because your male options aren't really feasible. There's Liara in the first game. There's Liara. That's pretty much the gist of it. Oh yeah, well there's Ashley. Yeah, there's Ashley and there's Liara in the first game. In the second game, there's too many male crew members, and there's like maybe three females, maybe four. I think four. Let's see. There's Kelly. You don't really get to be with Ashley, so if you had a relationship with her in the first one, it's complicated. So there's Kelly, there's Liara, and you don't really get to be with her either. So that leaves Kelly, Jack, Samora, and the chick from Chuck. God damn it, why can't I think of her name? I can't think of her name. But anyway, it's her. So it's the chick from Chuck, Oriana's older sister. And so that's your women's list. Now, if you're a dude, those are the only women you can have a relationship with. But if you're a chick, you got like 7 dudes, except maybe Grant and Morton, that you can like mess with because some of the chicks on the ship go both ways. So, well, not Jack, but you can go with Thane, you can go with Garrus, you can go with the black guy Jacob, you can go with Kelly because she works both ways, and you can go with Samora, but Samora doesn't want a relationship with anyone. And then there's Liara. But at the end of the game, when you get to the last game, and you've done all that you can do, your options are like totally fuck. Because if you dive through the beam, you do make everybody have the same DNA. If you shoot up the machines, you kill everything that's not organic. So bye bye Edie, but there's no proof that Edie actually dies. And if you turn into the Reaper, you save everybody because you become the Reaper and you control the Reapers and y'all go back in the dark space or whatever the hell you want them to do. And in the last one, if you do absolutely nothing, the only one that's guaranteed is Liara. Now, here's where I say you kind of got fucked over because for the first game, it is stated that there's supposed to be at least 17 endings by the time you get to the third game. So we're like 13 endings short. And you do all this stuff, and each time you play the game, it's a new game. You know, no matter what you do for whatever game, whenever you create a new shepherd and you play it, because the first game is the only game you can't run the same person twice. But the second and the third game, you can run the same people twice. So, you know, sorry. If you're gonna do that, you know, you get to get more points and more power and whatever. Now, it cops out because you only get 4 endings, and they're not all that great. You know that if you do nothing, Liara survives. Or at least the image of her survives, and that's the only one where you have the woman talking with the kid. Where the other 3 you have the dude talking. Which again, favorite game or not, still the greatest cop out ever. And so, TV shows and all that stuff, you know, they're cop outs. And I'm ending this because I'm choking up. But the cop outs are the ones where the show was so good and then they give you a shit ending. So, in closing, please, shows, regardless of type of show, please stop giving us cop out endings. Thank you. I'm James Williams Jr., just been Come From Havoc 2, signing out.